The rain hit hard that night. Harlem streets glistened under flickering streetlights. People hurried past, umbrellas up, eyes down. Nobody noticed the figure crumpled beside a dumpster. Except Malik. He was 11, small, skin like polished mahogany, clothes torn not from style, but survival. He lived 2 blocks away, or more accurately, behind the bakery's trash bins. Nobody saw him either, but he saw her, a white woman, bloodied, breathing barely, her designer heels broken, face bruised, pinned beneath luxury that no longer protected her. A torn purse nearby, her phone gone, people passed, cars rolled by, no one stopped. Malik stepped closer. "You okay, lady?" No answer, just a moan. He hesitated. Touching a white woman could get him killed, but walking away, he'd seen his mum walk away from people in pain and never come back, so Malik rolled up his sleeves. It took all his strength to lift her head. "Don't die," he whispered. "Please don't die." She looked at him, barely, lips cracked. Then she whispered something that froze him. "You're the first who didn't walk away." Tears welled in her eyes, then closed. Panicked, Malik grabbed her purse, what was left of it, and ran. Not to steal, to get help. He banged on a restaurant's glass. "Call someone, a lady's dying." At first they pushed him away, dirty kid, homeless, probably a scam. But one woman listened. Within minutes, sirens lit up the street. EMTs rushed in. Malik stood back, soaking wet. One officer eyed him. "You with her?" He nodded. The officer squinted. "You saved her life, kid." Malik looked down. "She saved mine too." No one knew her name yet, but the world would soon know his. Her name was Jennifer Albright, CEO of a billion-dollar tech firm, featured on Forbes, sat on panels about innovation and philanthropy, the kind of woman who owned jets, wore silence like armor, and hadn't used a public sidewalk in years. Until that night, when news broke that Jennifer Albright had been mugged and nearly killed outside a Harlem alley, social media exploded. Everyone demanded justice. The mayor issued statements. People posted edited selfies pretending to care. But in the chaos, one detail stood out. Witnesses said a child saved her, not a security guard. Not the NYPD. A kid. One blurry security camera angle showed a small boy leaning over Jennifer's unconscious body, holding her hand, then disappearing. It went viral. Little Hero news anchors speculated. Who was he? Where did he go? Meanwhile, Malik lay hidden in a bakery basement, trying to stay out of sight. Police had asked around. Some store owners said, "Yeah, we see a kid like that sometimes." But nobody knew his name, until Jennifer woke up. She remembered the boy she rasped to a nurse. Find him. They did. 12 hours later, a black car pulled up to a shelter. A man in a suit stepped out, holding a photo. "You seen this kid?" The shelter director nodded slowly. "He's not a resident, but he sleeps out back. Says he doesn't need help." The man left a card. "Tell him Ms. Albright wants to thank him." Malik found the card hours later. He stared at it, torn. People like her didn't thank people like him. They crossed the street, locked their doors, clutched their purses. But she had whispered something different. "You didn't walk away." And for the first time in years, neither did he. The doors to the hospital suite hissed open. Malik stood frozen. He had never seen anything like it. Room like a hotel, a vase of orchids bigger than his entire shelter bed. Jennifer lay propped on pillows, her face stitched, one arm in a sling, eyes tired, but warm. "Malik," she said softly. He stepped in, clutching his hoodie sleeves. "Hi, come closer," she said. He did, cautiously, like she might vanish. Jennifer reached for his hand. He flinched at first, then let her hold it. "I remember your eyes," she said. "I saw them in the dark. They made me feel safe." Malik blinked. "I just didn't want you to die." She smiled faintly. "You didn't just save my life. You made me want to live." They sat in silence for a while. Jennifer broke it. "Where are your parents?" Malik shrugged. "Mom overdosed last year. Dad? I don't know. Gone." A shadow crossed her face. "And you've been alone since?" Malik nodded. Jennifer looked at her assistant. "Write his name down, make sure he eats, and get him clothes that fit." Malik looked up, confused. "Why?" he asked. Jennifer leaned in, her voice barely a whisper. "Because no one helped me when I was your age. I swore if I ever had power, I'd use it to protect kids like you." Malik bit his lip. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," she said, But I owe myself, and maybe I owe the world a better story. She squeezed his hand again, and just like that, Malik felt something unfamiliar, not pity. Not charity, but dignity. By the next morning, the story had gone global. News outlets flashed headlines like, "Mysterious boy saves billionaire and guardian angel in a hoodie." But Malik's identity remained unknown, until a food truck owner posted a photo. "Think this is the kid," he wrote. "Bought stale donuts with quarters. Always says thanks." Within minutes, the post went viral. People zoomed in on the torn hoodie, the tired eyes, the dignity. Jennifer confirmed it. That's him. Hashtag Malik the hero started trending. Offers poured in. Talk shows, adoption requests, scholarships, even modeling deals. But Malik didn't care about any of that. He was still sleeping in a borrowed cot at the shelter, still folding the same hoodie under his head each night. Jennifer showed up again, this time with 2 lawyers and a calm voice. "You don't have to be famous," she told him. "You just have to be free. I want to help with both." Malik squinted. Free? From fear, from hunger, from being invisible. He stared at her. "No one ever said I wasn't invisible." She smiled. "You're not." And when she looked at him, he believed her. That night, she took him to dinner. Not some fancy place, but a small diner where she used to eat before the money changed her life. They sat across from each other, both quiet. Finally, she leaned in and whispered, "You saved more than my life, Malik." He looked up. "You saved my soul." The mayor gave Malik a medal. The city council declared a day in his honor, Malik Johnson Heroism Day. He stood awkwardly at the podium in borrowed clothes, looking out at a sea of suits and microphones. He didn't speak much, just said, "I didn't do it to be noticed. I did it because someone needed help." But that made headlines too. News anchors called him humble. Commentators argued over whether this proved the American dream still existed. A movie studio even called Jennifer's office. But something else happened too. Letters began arriving, thousands, from kids, from parents, from people who had once been homeless themselves. One read, "Because of you, I didn't take pills last night." Another, "I used to ignore people on the street. Not anymore." Jennifer had them printed and placed into a scrapbook. She handed it to Malik. "You don't know how far your ripple goes," she said. He flipped through the pages. "Why me?" he asked. "Why did it have to be me?" She looked at him, eyes fierce. Because the world needed to see that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear pain, and still show up. That night, they stood on the balcony of her apartment, the skyline stretching for miles. "Do you miss your old life?" Malik asked. Jennifer took a deep breath. "I miss who I was supposed to be, before I got lost in the money." She turned to him, but then a boy in a hoodie reminded me. Malik didn't say anything. He just stood there, a little straighter, a little taller, because maybe, just maybe, he was finally being seen. Weeks passed. Malik had a bed now, fresh clothes, tutors, a new life. But one night, he sat on the floor of his new room, silent, knees tucked in. Jennifer found him like that. "What's wrong?" she asked gently. Malik hesitated, then whispered, "I don't know who I am anymore." Jennifer sat beside him. "You're still the boy who saved me." He looked away. "That was just one day. Before that, I was nothing." Jennifer's face tightened. She walked over to a drawer, pulled out a faded photo and handed it to him. It was her, as a young girl, dirty, alone, bruised. "That's who I was." Malik blinked. "Your dad did that?" She nodded. "And no one saved me." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "But you saved a stranger, with nothing in your pockets and everything in your heart." Malik stared at the photo again, then said softly, "If my mom was still alive, I think she'd be proud." Jennifer nodded, eyes glistening. "I think she'd say, 'My boy became the kind of man this world doesn't deserve, but desperately needs.'" Malik breathed deep. Maybe he wasn't lost, maybe he was still becoming. That night, he didn't sleep on the floor. He pulled the covers over himself, head resting on a real pillow, not a hoodie, and whispered, "Thanks, Mom." Somewhere, in some way, she might have heard him. Malik didn't know what courtrooms looked like, until Jennifer asked him to come with her. The men who attacked her had finally been caught. They were older, sneering, thought she'd be too rich or too scared to testify. But she wasn't alone. Malik sat beside her, in a small suit, feet not even reaching the floor. Jennifer took the stand. Her voice was calm, but strong. "They beat me because they thought no one would help a woman in an alley. They were almost right." Then she paused. Her voice cracked. But someone did. She turned and looked at Malik, a boy the world ignored, a boy who risked everything to pull me out of the dark. He is why I'm alive. The courtroom held its breath. Even the judge blinked hard. When Malik was asked to speak, he fidgeted, then walked up. "My name's Malik Johnson," he said. "I'm not a hero. I was just tired of pretending people's lives didn't matter, even when no one thought mine did." Gasps. One juror wiped away tears. Afterward, the judge called him forward. "You remind me why this job matters," he said. Malik smiled politely, but it was what Jennifer whispered afterward that shook him. She bent close and said, "My father once beat the hope out of me. That day you gave it back." Malik's eyes welled, not from pain, but pride. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Jennifer could have left the story there. She didn't. Instead, she made Malik part of her company's leadership program. Not as a token, not as a pity case, but as a partner. They launched a new non-profit, Streetlight, named after the light that had flickered above her body that night. Its mission? Uplift kids from forgotten neighborhoods, give them mentorship, shelter, and a voice. Malik became its face. Cameras followed him, but this time, he wasn't just a story. He was a movement. At 12, he gave a TED Talk. At 13, he sat on panels with senators. But he always told the truth. "I'm not special, I'm just seen now, and being seen changes everything." People cried, donated, volunteered. Even former classmates who once crossed the street to avoid him reached out. One girl messaged, "I'm sorry I laughed at your shoes in 5th grade. You're a hero. I wish I had seen you better." Malik didn't reply. He didn't need to. His life had already spoken louder. Jennifer watched him grow with quiet pride. She never called herself his mom. She didn't try to replace what he'd lost. But one day, as he finished a speech, someone asked, "What's your relationship with Miss Albright?" Malik paused, then smiled. "She's not my mom. She's the whisper that told me I mattered. The voice that reminded me not to disappear." The crowd applauded. But Jennifer? She just wept silently, because once she'd lost herself in noise and power. Now, a boy's quiet heart had given her a reason to listen again. Years passed. Malik turned 18. He graduated with honors, got accepted into Columbia, majored in social policy, but never left his roots behind. Streetlight expanded to 12 cities. Thousands of kids, once invisible, now stood tall in their communities. One evening, at a gala honoring the foundation's impact, Jennifer asked Malik to speak. He walked onto stage, confident, composed, but his voice trembled slightly. "Everyone asks why I helped a stranger that night," he began. But truth is, she wasn't a stranger. The audience leaned in. She was me, just in a different body. Beaten down, ignored, left for dead. And I knew, if I walked away, I'd be walking away from myself. He paused, looked at Jennifer. She whispered something that night. "I never told anyone." Jennifer froze. Malik smiled faintly. She whispered, "You matter more than you know." He exhaled. And that one sentence, it stitched my soul back together. Tears fell. In the crowd, hardened CEOs wept, children clapped, mothers hugged their sons. Because in that one moment, across time, race and class, a poor black boy and a wealthy white woman had redefined what humanity looked like, and the whisper that changed Malik was now changing the world.